two. Hello, creators. So welcome to Creators on the Crest, where we rise with the tide and align with the truth. Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're going to let the cosmic waves carry this out into the beautiful YouTube algorithms and get everybody notified here. I hope everyone is having a good day so far and you're feeling grounded. We're going to get into some, whoop, we got sound. We're going to get into some really good, solid intuition as it relates to the tarot. So this is going to be very interesting. We're going to ground in with some energies and then we're going to go deeper, and it's the perfect time to do that. So let me know if you're here in the comments. Jason, thank you for being here and assisting with the moderation. Appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to give it a moment. Take some deep breaths, get a sip of water. I've got the coffee too, so make no mistake, the caffeine is in full effect. Full effect this morning, and it's rainy here. I don't know about where you are. Let me know. It's definitely a rainy day where I am, so a bit of that water grand trine, I always say trined, water grand trine energy that we are passing through at the moment, flowing through perhaps, that has come up right now. So anchor yourself in, relax in. We're going to get going here pretty soon with today's episode, how to read tarot cards intuitively and why you should. So we're going to get into it and we're going to go into some depth with this, which is really exciting. All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to introduce myself. Welcome to Creators on the Crest. I'm Stephanie, and this is Frequency Friday. So typically every Friday I'm here around 10 a.m. Central. Sometimes the time changes if I have other arrangements, and we take some time collectively. These are not personal, individualized readings this go around. I do those on Sunday evenings. The next one's in December, so watch out on the community post for that on my channel, and I will announce that. But this is our time to come together as a community to really just participate, just talk, chat, flow through the energies. I always have a theme. I always have something up my sleeve. So this isn't just a free-for-all. It's a very focused and intended time. But it's meant to help you really become embodied and anchored and aligned with the creator being in you. And that is opposed to being a reactor being. So we have a lot of things going on in the reality field and the effects field and a lot of the energies that are flowing around us. And that can get distracting and that can pull on us sometimes. And so at Creators on the Crest, it is about really coming into that place where you can reconnect with yourself. And today we'll be doing that very intentionally through our intuition, all right, and through connecting with that energy deep within us. And so I'm very excited for this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But before I get started, I wanted to kind of review some of the astrological transits that are going on right now. We might see these come up in the readings that we do today, in the oracle reading or some of the tarot breakouts. But we've got the sun entering Sagittarius, and that's really powerful in the sense that we kind of come up and feel a more active energy from the depth of the Scorpio energies that we had been feeling. We come up and things start to light up for us because Sagittarius is that fire sign. And so some of you may feel this little rise of optimism and the journey toward being more optimistic and really aligning actually with the truth, which is one of the goals here at Creators on the Crest, is to align with the truth, not just your personal truth, but the truth overall. So that is something definitely to keep in mind. And then we have your Uranus opposing the sun. This is the energy that brings the unexpected. I spoke of this in my long form video that came out on Tuesday, Tarot and Tea. That's the series that comes out every Tuesday. And we spoke about some of the unexpected things that might come up for us during this time with Uranus, in between the Earth and the Sun. All right. Or I'm sorry, the Earth in between the Sun and Uranus. Does that make more sense? Probably. Okay. Got to have our planetary orders and the orbits right there. So it's an opposition with Earth right in the middle, Sun, and then Uranus way out there, right? And so this is going to be the shocking things. This is going to be the unexpected things. This is going to be the little surprises. I think we're going to see this, and we perhaps already have on a collective level, in the news and in different things like that. But you also may have this arise in your own personal life and interactions and experiences. So make a note of that Uranus opposition to the sun. Now, I really feel that it's a time for things to get illuminated. So take that for what it is. Jupiter is retrograde in Cancer. So we're kind of looking at an energy of focusing on what are our emotional needs, what are the home and family dynamics, because the Cancer energy is the container representing the home and the things you have in your home, the people you have in your home, how your home is set up, organized, how the flow feels. The feng shui aspects may come into play for some of you. Some of you may be excuse me, revisioning what you're looking for in your home space. Okay, so that could be something that the Jupiter retrograde in Cancer sparks for you. You may be rearranging furniture. You may want to open up a space. You may want to clear out some objects, perhaps. And also, we just had the last few days the new moon in Scorpio. And it brought us the opportunity to release certain things for our growth. Now, the new and full moons, to me, for this cycle, they've happened a little differently. Usually in the month, you'll have the full moon first, followed by the new moon. We're kind of in a cycle right now where a new moon happens and then the full moon. And so that has kind of flipped and changed up the energies a little. So let me know in the comments how this latest new moon in Scorpio has gone for you. This usually indicates some sort of depth or deep dive into the self, or like I said, with the other energies going on, something has been revealed. Let me know. Tell me in the comments your thoughts on that and what you're experiencing. And then, of course, we still have the Mercury retrograde. And also, along with that, to kind of exacerbate those Mercury retrograde energies, we have the geomagnetic energies that have caused, and the solar intensities that have caused a huge effect in our reality field. I know I shared with the community, I had my Wi-Fi go out. I know that I shared some other things have happened. So just, watch yourself around corners and things like that. Just make sure you're not bumping into things. Use a little more care and caution during this time. A little more care and caution in the communication aspects as well. So keep that in mind. Keep that as something that you will hold at the forefront of your knowing. Okay. All right. So today we're going to anchor into the energy of intuition. Now, intuitive energies flow, so you may feel like, well, how do I anchor into that? We're really going to anchor into it in order to connect. And so sometimes we have to give the mind a little bit of spiritual candy. So it's satisfied with the energies that we're going into, which are a deeper level of energies, a deep connection to our intuition. And so I wanted to get the etymology of the word intuition. So let me see if it wants me to put a little Q&A up. And let's just ask our beautiful creators, what does intuition mean to you? Let's say, yeah, that's how I want to say it. And we're going to give it a nice soft color while I kind of talk about it here. Let's see, let's do that. What does intuition mean to you? Done. Start. Okay, let me see if I can just move that just above my head. So the Q&A will come up usually above my head. We'll see if it pops up here. But the question is, even if you don't see the little Q&A, what does intuition mean to you? Maybe even how do you connect with your own intuition? So the etymology of the word intuition comes from the Latin verb intuere. Intueri. And it means to look at or to gaze at with what? The inner eye. Okay, so this is not about using our sense of sight to look at something. We're looking at this with our own inner eye. We're turning the gaze inward. It's about looking within, and it's about contemplation within. And Jason says that the question that I put up is not showing on the desktop. Yeah, I see it. I'm looking also at an iPad and I'm not seeing it on the iPad either. But the question is, what does intuition mean to you? So sometimes the Q&As work and sometimes they don't. So YouTube, we need you to have a look at that. I did provide that feedback before that. It even prompted me to try a Q&A. I put it up. I can see it here on my screen, but no one else can. So I'm not sure what's going on there. And today, so as we're speaking of, oh, Jason, I'm glad you brought that up. You're talking about it means having like a gut feeling to you. So how do you differentiate, based on you talking about a gut feeling, how do you differentiate instinctual energies from intuitive energies? And do you distinguish those, or to you, are they the same? So I'm just kind of curious because we definitely know that all those systems kind of talk together. So instinct and intuition can be interwoven in a communication together. So I'm interested what that might mean to you. Maybe you don't distinguish, right? So maybe for you, that's something that's more interwoven. And, you know, when I think of that gut feeling, I think of that's something very primal that the body responds to. The intuition to me comes from like that subconscious place, perhaps even, right? And so maybe you have the ability of your gut and your subconscious mind in coordination together. Some people do. Some people have that connection flowing very strongly. But yes, let me know if you've just joined. What does intuition mean to you in the comments? I'm going to get rid of the little Q&A that did not work and we'll move along. And today we're going to talk about reading the tarot intuitively and why should we read the tarot intuitively? Not just how to read the cards intuitively, but why we should do that. And I think it's important to question the why. Why would we do that, right? When we have these tarot cards that have a history, that have been created, that have dynamics and specifics connected to each one, and in how they were set up as archetypes, and they move through sequencing and patterns and numerical energies. Why would we want to steer away from the core meanings that historically were given? And to me, that answer is because as a species, humans are meant to evolve in consciousness. And so as we look at the archetypes and the way that they originally were set up or flow together, these energies could change over time, and our relationship to these energies could change. So for me, I feel with the tarot itself, because it is such a great story of the archetypes, we have to also acknowledge that the archetypes can change. They can change positions, they can change order and flow as our consciousness also evolves. And so, isn't that interesting to contemplate and to look at as a meaning of why we look at it intuitively? Also, I think why looking at tarot and even oracle cards are kind of helpful in the sense that they give us a lot of imagery to work with. Okay. And there may or may not be archetypes specifically presented. Oracle cards can have abstract images, many different colors, animals, plants, different things. There are tarot decks that have that too, but Oracle can kind of open it up a little, take us outside of the structure of the symbolism of the tarot and give us a little more to work with. So we'll be diving into that today as well. But why else should we read intuitively? Well, to practice actually connecting with our intuition, actually connecting more deeply with our own intuition, really figuring out how to listen to that inner voice. All right. So that is also a part of this. It's about listening to that inner voice, beginning to understand what the voice or the vibration of the intuition actually sounds like, feels like, and operates for you. So that's another wonderful thing about being able to practice your intuition and your connection to your intuition through the cards, because the cards kind of give us the visual prompting that the conscious mind likes. And then the intuition connected to the subconscious pulls us into the deeper meanings and feelings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So, I think we're going to go ahead and get started on the oracle reading. Okay. And the reason I want to get into the oracle first is because I do feel like it has that open energy for us. The conscious mind, of course, is going to want to label and interpret and go places that the subconscious mind doesn't need to go. But today, perhaps we can just anchor ourselves in a little bit, take a nice deep breath, listen to Blaze barking. Hydrate. And just kind of breathe a little more deeply into ourselves. Breathing a little more deeply, bringing a little more potency to the breath. How does that feel for you? How does that feel? How does that vibe for you? Coming more into the body, starting to kind of maybe feel your edges a little bit, really breathing into the outer layer of your skin, really coming into that. So yeah. All right, we're going to get into an oracle deck first, which I thought would be wonderful to start out with. It's called the Sacred Rebels Oracle, okay? Sacred Rebels Oracle. And the reason that I wanted to start off with this deck is because I think that anyone that has the courage to really begin to connect with their intuition, this is a beautiful deck for it. It takes courage. You are truly a sacred rebel if you have been willing to critically think, critically consider, put yourself through the inner work and the process of aligning with your soul and your purpose and your intention and living life, and doing so through the human experience in which other times and other lifetimes you may have been persecuted for your intuition, for your energies, for your psychic gifts, your mediumship talents and abilities. Okay, so feeling a lot of clearing coming up. Hello, Ashley. Welcome, welcome. How are you today? I'm just now getting into the oracle reading, Ashley, and we're going to start with the Sacred Rebels Oracle. There's very, very powerful imagery in the oracle decks that I chose to use today because we're going to be using our intuition. We're going to be kind of tapping in. So trying to acknowledge but quiet that conscious part of our mind and really take it deeper into the subconscious energies and connecting with our intuition. And I'm having a lot of like release come up and happen here. Whew. So Ashley, if you're joining and you have a moment to comment, what does intuition mean for you? How do you have your relationship with intuition? Thank you. I am doing pretty good. It has been an interesting retrograde cycle for me, but several things happened. Not to divert too much, but Wi-Fi went down. That affected my live Q&A on the Sunday evening, but I was able to go live Monday, and I had a lot of energy that night, so it just worked out. I went long, and there were a lot of good questions, and it was really great to show up for that audience in that way. So it worked out. And then I also smashed my pinky toe against the edge of the couch that I walk by, you know, all the time, never any incident. And I fractured my toe. It's nice and like bruised. It's still purple, but I'm able to bend it. I think it's just like a little like hairline fractures, if any, or like deep bruising on the toe. So that was fun. That was something special. And then something else happened, and I put it up in the poll. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, I super glued my fingers together. That was fun. The super glue that I use is usually very gel-like. It takes a little bit of squeezing to get it out. And for some reason, I was like holding the object I wanted to super glue and getting ready to squeeze a little drop into that. And, it, you know, like I said, it's more gel, and it came out liquidy, and it just got my fingers together. We had to soak them in acetone. So, but otherwise, you know, I'm just kind of rolling with these things because I know that that's part of the retrograde energies, and going deeper into what those things mean for me, like, and just the analogies of it, like feeling stuck, right? Turning a new corner and having to get your bearings, right? Like the edge of that couch that I slammed my toe into, right? I think they're signs, good signs of like movement and evolution, but they come with a little bit of sacrifice, I guess. So, but otherwise doing great, feeling really good about the frequency today. Honestly, we have a nice cleansing rain going on here where I am, and so I'm enjoying that. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you get a chance, what does intuition mean to you, or how do you connect with intuition? We got a beautiful card here. Oh, Ashley got me a comment here. What does intuition? You love the question. Intuition is your higher self's communication with my human self. It is my connection with the universe. I love that. I love that. And we see now how it can be so different for each person. It's Cell 935. Hello, welcome to Creators on the Crest. We are talking about intuition today, how to read tarot intuitively, but also just connecting to your intuition, what intuition means to you. And I love that, Ashley. I love that you have a bridge there. And Jason mentioned having a bridge between like his instinct and intuition. So for him, it's a very physical presence kind of feeling. For you, it feels like it may be more spiritually connected in there. And I think both are important. So you're connecting with your intuition through your own astrology, through your own operating system, which is really, really beautiful. Teresa's here. Hello. Well, you're just in time for the oracle reading. Yeah, I noticed today. Hello, Tay Mason. Hello. I noticed today that it was a little bit of a slower start, but that's okay. We're here now. Yeah, no notification went out, right? I thought so too. I don't know why the notification didn't go out. Maybe it will now. Maybe it'll get rolling. But drop in the comments, Teresa, if you have a moment to comment. What does intuition mean to you? How do you connect with your intuition? Girl Gone, hello, hello, welcome. So now everybody's must be showing up. Faith is here. I do pick up on energies. Yes, I do. I live in the energetic world, Faith, quite a lot. Quite a lot. Yes, I kind of swim in the sea of energies. And for that reason, I have to have, proper container, proper scuba gear and stuff like that, because the energies collectively are very, very interesting, and not all of them are the most beneficial energies, right? So it's about navigating that with boundaries, protection, and awareness. But yes, I do pick up on energies. So yeah, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what intuition means for you, because today we're going to talk about how we can take an intuitive approach to reading tarot. But we're going to start with an oracle reading here. I hear you. Same here. I just don't know how to control it quite yet. I may be crazy. Faith, I doubt you're crazy. With the intuition, this is just me, but my thoughts on that is that your intuition itself is not something that can be nor needs to be controlled. It is very much something that is connected to your greater being, to your subconscious, and it flows. And before you joined, Faith, I talked about a little bit about the evolving consciousness of humanity and why we should challenge ourselves to work with the cards intuitively. And it has to do with our evolving consciousness. So for some people, they might look and see you as, oh, she's crazy. She's picking up on things I'm not connected to, whatever. But you're not, right? You're not. It does require that you step aside from some of the conventional norms and the conscious mind's attachment to certain beliefs in order to go deeper into yourself. But that's the inner work that we do here at Creators on the Crest. So we do the inner work and really question and critically think and critically explore these topics. So I doubt you're crazy. I think it's just, it can feel overwhelming, especially if you are quite sensitive. You could be a highly sensitive person that is truly very connected. And when you open up to that, it can really hit you. It can be very powerful. And so, though you cannot control it, you can set healthy boundaries around that connection. You may listen. So I'm going to do a little extra energetic protection before I go over there, because I don't want my sensitivity, my intuition, like bombarded with their negativity or whatever it might be. I mean, you all know you have people in your life or in your workplace and situations like this. And just because you are connected to your intuition and you're doing deep work doesn't mean you open it up for them to feast on the harvest of what you're actually exploring in yourself. So, that's where the boundaries and the protection come in, not for control, but for the sacred sanctity of your energy. And so, like, not everybody gets to have access to you that way, right? Not everybody gets to have access to that, and that's okay. Ashley struggles with mixing up anxiety and intuition. That's another huge factor. And maybe we could intend that as we go through the readings today, that you get some clarity on that. Because, yeah, sometimes there is that fine line between a pain body that's connected to anxiety, stress, or depression for other people, right? And fears, because fears are in the subconscious realm too. And we're in like Scorpio, we're kind of the tail end of Scorpio season, of that retrograding energy depths, right? And it can be that very fine line between the intuition. Now, I think this first card is going to help answer that question a little bit, because I do find anxiety and intuition to have a different energy signature. And I think you will too, if you just kind of sit with it. The thing is, if the body, if the nervous system is activated, triggered, and unable to relax, then that line becomes blurry. And so maybe a little nervous system, time to calm the nervous system and really do some somatic work to be in your body, to ask your body what it needs so you can distinguish. That may be a good reflection for your journaling. Ask your body, what does it need to distinguish between anxiety that you feel, and it informs you, both inform you, anxiety and intuition both inform you, but they're coming from a different place, right? Because we're not meant to walk around with all this anxiety. It could also be, sometimes it is for people, external energies. Like I said, if your energetic system does not have the proper shielding, and people that shouldn't have access to you do, and I'm not saying this is the case, but it could be sometimes, even to me, someone who practices this and is very aware, there are times where I'm like, ooh, I didn't quite shield myself enough, or I knew going into a situation, an event or something like that, I should have done a little more to get, really grounded in myself and have those protective layers, right? So it can be easy to forget sometimes until you notice it. But even in that, there's lessons and there's distinguishing going on. So let me know, if you haven't let me know already, let me know how intuition is for you, how you define it for yourself, how you relate to it. Let me know that. I'm going to read through because we've got some really good comments, and I think it's good to put these out here so that we can have the conversation and have the discussion about intuition. And then from there, when we put it out into the words and we put it out into the comments here and we have this great dialogue, then each of us will be getting what we need throughout the reading as we go throughout the different readings today. So I think it's really important to do that. Girl Gone says, I feel like sometimes intuition can be a blessing and a curse, because sometimes you want to know things and sometimes you wish you didn't, right? So then there's that energy where you actually that can be in the form of like a premonition kind of energy or kind of vibe. Many times intuitives will pick up on someone passing away. Before they pass away, they'll have a dream. That person will come to them somehow and let them know what's going on. And sometimes that can be a little shocking, a little hard. And then, like 3 days later, the person in real life passes away. And it's like, whoa. And I'm just using that as like one example. When you're tapped into that intuitive energy, and you're dealing with the effects field and the reality field, which we all having a human experience, and you begin to bump into all the manipulations and illusions that play out collectively and play out through people who are not as aware of that energy. Distinguish between anxiety and intuition. I want to get really clear on what that voice sounds like for me, and for each of you it will be different. All right. When I say voice sounds like, for some of you, it's just going to be an inner knowing. For some of you, it will give your body a certain sensation. Like Jason talked about, he gets that gut feeling. So his intuition is deeply connected to an instinctual energy for him. For Ashley, it's like a spiritual knowingness, right? It can come through dreams. It can come in a lot of different packages. So that's another thing, is getting comfortable with that and what that looks like for you. Some of you may get what I get, which is like that. We talked about the different clairs before, but where you actually could feel, like you could feel in your body the energy of another person when you're interacting with them, and then you leave the situation and that energy you no longer feel in your body. That has happened. That happens when I read quite a bit. When I read for people, I can feel where the stuck energy is, and my body tells me this is where their stuck energy is. So some of you have that as well. So let it be open, and let yourself be honest with how you connect in. But yes, it can sometimes feel like a curse when we're really picking up on things. And then we're dealing with a lot of people in day-to-day life who aren't picking up on things. I don't normally drink out of these plastic bottles, y'all, but today I am. Today I am. I had to grab a quick water today. Kimberly's here. Hello. Miss Sana 5. Hello. Katy Perry in my I look like Katy Perry in my 60s. Wow. Okay. I'm not really sure what to make of that. I am 50. I have brown eyes, not electric blue eyes like Katy Perry, but thank you. I will take that as a compliment. I love it. I love it. All right. So Tay Mason, at a certain age, we all know right from wrong, but what is right or wrong? And that is part of the journey of this channel, of the creator, of any individual soul out there that is on a quest to do what I would call the great work. It is to figure out inherently, through a connection with natural and cosmic law, the principles that naturally, not the man-made stuff, but the principles that naturally govern the universe and nature. It's through that relationship that we actually do figure out what's right and wrong, not through the narratives that are put out there, not necessarily through man-made laws, right? And things that are implemented, legalities and all these things. It's actually at a core level, it's the creational energies having to do with natural and cosmic law, alchemy, the alchemical laws. These are all what we take ourselves into the study of, so we can distinguish that. So it's objective truth versus what we get a lot of right now is subjective truth, where people want to say things and then that's true. I said it, so it's true, or I get to pick what's true, right? So maybe that's something to consider as well. Girl Gone says, yes, the energy can feel overwhelming. Sometimes if I open up too much, I can give myself an anxiety attack. Yes. Ashley mentioned the anxiety, that fine line, the way that our self informs us, the way that our self informs us through that very fine line connection. And what is that informing us of? Right? And maybe it is protection, the lesson of protection and how much you need to protect yourself, or how much you should open or not open up in certain situations with certain people, etc. And I think that's part of the journey. I think part of the journey is distinguishing that. But yeah, I think it's very hard to connect with your intuition while your nervous system is on high alert or out of whack. Very difficult to do that. The body's very much involved, the brain, the mind, body, soul, is heart, everything, the emotions, everything's connected to this experience. Faith says, I had one yesterday, was very, very emotional and off in my head, bad. Okay, so Faith, here's some good news for you, Faith, though. You were deeply, deeply connected to the emotional energies. We have a water grand trine going on right now. We have the sun in Scorpio, Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, and Saturn retrograde in Pisces. So I'd say also, if you are or can go pull a free astrology chart, if you're already familiar, great, but look to the water sign energies that you might be carrying. And then if the emotional energies that you're dealing with are connected in with any fear responses, or maybe something that needs to be released or healed, it would make sense that it kind of gets you spinning in your conscious mind. And the water energy wants to go deeper, though. It wants to go into the subconscious energies so that you can begin to understand how your emotional energies are informing you. All right. So I know a lot of times people perceive emotional energies when they don't feel good, when they're informing us, like, I'm hurt, I'm afraid, I'm embarrassed, those kind of energies. We judge them to be negative and not good. You even hear people sometimes say negative emotions, but every emotion is actually informing you quite powerfully. And of course, with the law of polarity and understanding that we live in a universe of contrasting expressions, and that perhaps light and dark are present at all levels, love and fear present at all, that would be part of the journey, right? So is it negative? It might be hard, it might be challenging, but is it truly negative, or is it in that the beautiful reflection that you do and reconnecting with your intuition that greater knowledge and wisdom begins to really permeate your being? And that's the work, but it can be really messy. It can be, and we can have these panic attacks, these anxiety attacks, these burnouts, right? And those things are informing us that, and let me say one more thing about highly people, empathic people. The reality is, this is who you are. This is the way you were created. This is deeply connected to the lessons and the experience you were meant to have here. And you may have to do a little more than others because of your level of sensitivity. There are people out there that have very minimal levels of sensitivity. They're very mental, very analytical. They don't connect hardly at all, even in some cases with the energy. But it's something that, when we recognize that about ourselves, we have to take accountability for it, because we also don't want to be just going out in the world and getting caught up in some emotional spiral tornadoes and having a lot of drama going on. Some people feed off that, like an energy that's fed off of. I, for one, don't feel like, I'm a Cancerian sun, so I don't like drama. Like, to me, that's just like spiraling, and like people that try to bring others down with them and causing drama. And so, but sometimes it's that drama vortex inside ourselves. Sometimes it's us versus us with that, right? So just some things to consider. You don't have to figure it all out overnight. And everybody has a little bit different portal of receptivity here for how they might do this. So I'm just throwing out some examples based on my experience and the experience of the many people that I've worked with over the years. Girl Gone says, sometimes my intuition is so strong that I can just sense it, like physical tightness in the chest or maybe a headache, and less than 10 to 15 minutes later. So like that will come up, like it will, like you feel it like rising that way. Oh, 10 to 15 minutes later, if I get a bad feeling, something will happen. Right. And so, that can be a little unnerving, right? That can be a little unnerving. And the conscious mind can want to go into the energy of judging that and analyzing that. And could I have prevented that? And blah, 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 blah. That's times these things happen. Being sensitive and having a knowing and understanding of it requires great discernment and responsibility, because the other energies involved need to be accountable for their part of it as well. All right. So sometimes let's just say that energy is already set. It's already written that bad thing is going to happen, and it may be a greater lesson for someone else. And we have to let that be their lesson. That's not something we can control or prevent necessarily, right? But it is very hard sometimes, especially if you're getting an intuition about someone close to you or a very personal situation. Now, if it's someone close to you who also has some conscious / subconscious awareness and they're working on themselves, you can ask them, I picked up on something, may I share? That's how I operate with my friends. But I don't give that unsolicited, right? So, but it can be tough because you're witnessing things that aren't necessarily pleasant, and you know about it before it happens. It is unnerving. So Faith, I do offer free mini readings. You're asking about free readings every other Sunday, typically, except we have some holidays coming up. So I think the next one is December 14th. I believe, if that's a Sunday, 7 to 8 p.m. Central here on my channel. And it's a great time. It's a power-packed hour. Come in early, come in closer to the 7 p.m. mark and drop your question in. But yes, I do the free readings on YouTube, here every other Sunday night typically is, and it's called a live Q&A. You ask, I read. And yeah, come on to that. I had one, I got postponed from my last one. I had to do it Monday night instead of Sunday, but it was a great time. And it's here on my channel under the live playlist, the tarot lives. And you can check it out and see what the vibe is like. But also, I always say, and this always happens on Frequency Friday, the more you engage and like comment and like participate here and really allow yourself to open up to the readings and the theme, the more you will feel like this is a personal experience to you. So we do have that luxury of our group here on Frequency Friday, where the more you're giving your energy to, the more likely I am, because I am utilizing my greater being, the greater part of myself, to connect with yours. So sometimes the messages today can feel really personal. That does happen sometimes. Or the messages on my tarot and tea also come out. Sometimes there's energies that come out on that, and those are put out every Tuesday. So you just have to trust your intuition and trust your guidance as to when to join. But yes, we can have a lot of fun on those Sunday nights. Those are a great time. Ashley says, I always remind myself that I cannot trust that voice if I am in an elevated state. Right. So when that nervous system is on high alert, activated, because that voice is probably getting silenced or muted by the anxiety, right? So it's like, okay, I have to come into a calmness. And I say it like this because usually it's about coming out of like a hyper nervous system mental state and into the heart space, more anchored in the body. right? So like that hardcore essence, like coming down, bringing it down and rooting in so that that nervous system gets calmed. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. Breath work, certain music, certain frequencies, body work, things like that. Because there's like the maintenance of it as well. And then there's those situations where you're in it, like critical moments, right? Girl Gun says, I love the fact that you're talking about this because you were just talking about this with one of your friends that actually wants to start a group on this subject, strong intuition. Yes. And I think the small group or group work on that can be really, really helpful since everyone has a little bit different portal of receptivity. um, Sharing that can give them a way to feel connected to other people. They may find those similarities, but at the same time, you don't feel so alone because this kind of energy, without anyone around you that understands or anyone in your family, a lot of us grew up in families where we weren't understood at this level. There was no space for this, or it was shut down. A lot of us got shut down at a young age or made to feel like it wasn't safe to be in these intuitive energies, to connect with our intuition deeply. And that can really cause issues for us later in life. So to be able to come together in a group and really explore this and be acknowledged and be heard and have the space held for you in a safe way is so, so important. I hope your friend starts that group. That sounds amazing. Faith says, I believe there was a moon portal shift last night too, or something like that, that made something other than me or someone other than me highly emotional and sensitive as well. Yes, absolutely. So you're picking up on those energies and that connection, because I was saying like, yeah, look into that energy. We're going to actually talk about the moon energy today. I've got the moon card right here. So that might hold the key for you today in some of that. But yes, we just had that Scorpio new moon and it really pulled us into some deep energies. I would not be surprised that you picked up on not only your own, but someone else's energies. The energies are intense, they're high. Yes. Faith says, I feel like I have a few gifts that are laying dormant at the moment that are beyond comprehension to understand, but I'll know when the time comes. I don't know, haha, very spiritual. Yeah, you will know. And I kind of see the energy that you can apply to that because they're there, right? And if you can imagine like a lotus flower, and you know how a lotus flower opens up, and I'm imagining like the ones that float on the water with the lily pad, the undercurrents, there's things happening under the water, but the lotus opens up. And if you can just imagine yourself and the energy of that you carry of connection to your intuition, sometimes I refer to this as grace unfolding. Give yourself grace to let this unfold naturally, right? I love that you feel it, but you're not trying to force it open. The lotus will open when it's ready, right? And you are the perpetual lotus flower opening and opening to your greater gifts, to the deeper meanings to things as you evolve. And the fact that you're connecting to that, so you are connected to it, but you're not going to force or try to control it. When we force and control, I think that's where we get into the anxiety as well, sometimes connected to past trauma at times. So sometimes it's about healing up some past trauma. Not always. Sometimes it's just about trusting ourselves, getting over the imposter syndrome, those kinds of things. Jason says, definitely a compliment. The Katy Perry in her 60s. Thank you. Faye says, yeah, I got a lot of grief from losing mom. Yeah, I'm sorry. I lost my father in 2020. And yeah, that's a lot to process. And grief is in phases, it's in layers, and connecting to the mother, the maternal line, that's a lot that comes up. It's a lot to resolve. So I'm really sorry that you lost your mom. I'm really sorry. You said, I feel like you would be a really good mentor or something. You're intuitive and smart. Oh, thank you. I am a mentor. In the description, I list my website so you can see more there, but I also have a lot here on YouTube where you can see, my style and how I operate. But I am working, a lot of you know, I'm working on creating membership community as well. So that's exciting. There'll probably be some coursework material in there and everything like that. It's my own Lotus unfolding process. So keep an eye out for that. Definitely get connected with me too. I'm out there on the other stuff. If you're on the other platforms, you can find me at Creators on the Crest. But I do most of my sharing here on YouTube. So thank you for that. That's very sweet. PMC Forever, hello. PMC Forever, I'm not doing personal readings today. I do those on Sunday evenings. The next one's on December 14th from 7 to 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. Faye says, I would love to hear your intuition on what you pick up from you. You want me to know what I pick up from you? I just know you are sincere and genuine. Oh, thank you, Faith. I like to think so. I mean, I've had my own process with this, and I feel like maybe at one stage in my past, I was very connected like you are, and there were mentors that I found and discovered that were extremely helpful to me. And for me, it was an importance of finding a safe place where I could truly be myself. That was really important to me, a safe place, safe mentors that were actually there to be of service and hold space. So I learned from some really, really great mentors as well. And then, of course, there's the way that, great mentors always help you take it back to yourself in an empowered way, because it's ultimately you who is your highest and best mentor as well, right? So a good mentor will never take that away from you, that you are your highest and best mentor. There's a lot of energy in the air right now. Yes. Tressa says, from Your Self Evolved, anxiety is typically about the future while depression is about the past. Yes, both take you out of the present moment, right? And when the body is taken out of the present moment, it will shut down or burn out, right? It shut down as the depression because we're connected to something from the past. The burnout is the anxiety because we're projecting our energies into the future but it's from a place of not being able, you get out of your creative energies either way. You're not in your creative energies if you're projecting into the future. You change and shift the future by being present in the present moment. That's how we create a new reality here, right? So that's the key. The depression, anxiety stretch you thin. They stretch you thin, and you will feel that in your nervous system. Your nervous system and your body will tell you. So listen to that body. It would be awesome to have a members group. I know, yes. Gonna move that. I'm moving that direction. Moving that direction for sure. Depression is compression, which is normal human reaction to recovery and getting messages, but it's depression depending on the energy you put in it. Yes. I like how you say compression. Yeah, and both are informative. So I'm not trying to vilify here depression or anxiety. They bring discomfort because they're showing us where we're not able to stay present in alignment and relax our nervous system and be fully present in our body, in the here and now. This is not easy stuff, y'all. This is master level, doctorate level kind of energetic work we're talking about. So we do have to be a little bit graceful with ourselves and say, hey, this is part of my growth. This is part of my evolution, and these things inform me. Thank you, Teresa. Yes, I also do. If you connect with through my website, you can see my offerings. But also, I was just wanting to remind everybody, I'll probably be putting out I will be putting out Black Friday specials coming up. Watch for those. I really like to market those on my Instagram stories, so keep an eye out there for that. Okay. Grogan says, oh, from Bashar, who does channeling, channels his future self, I think. Normal reaction, but it's the energy that makes it feel good or bad. Yes. And it's informative, right? Okay, I want to, like I said a long time ago, we're going into this oracle reading and I've pulled a card. And so what I want to do is take a moment. I'm going to show everyone the card. I'm not going to do a lot of analytical interpretation. I specifically picked decks. This is the Sacred Rebels Oracle. And I'll mention why I picked this deck. It's because in order for you to vulnerably and courageously step out there and even have the conversation we're having today, that is rebellious, right? Because what you're talking about isn't always understood or accepted by the mainstream or traditional society, right? And so our first message, oracle message about intuition, is a number 20, and it says, softly, softly, the tender touch. And just take a moment to look at this image. Softly, softly, the tender touch. And let me know in the comments, what does this image evoke for you? What does it feel like to you? What are you noticing? We're really going to practice our intuition here. These cards are they are great because they have a very human presence to them, a human image, but they're also really reaching into that metaphysical feel and that not so concrete feel. Yes. So softly, softly, the tender touch. Just taking a moment to, what does that card feel like to you? What does your intuition maybe tell you about this card and this image? How does it land in you? Faith says you get distracted a lot. 3 boys from ages 12 to 1, and then a newborn daughter, plus mental health in our family. Yes, absolutely. That's a lot. I'm also a mom. And a lot of our creators are parents as well. And it's a lot to manage, getting that time for yourself, right? So Faith says, let your spiritual energy come to you with a gentle touch. Right. Not physical. Maybe this is talking about the way that the intuition informs on a spiritual level. And please share in the comments anything that you find striking about this card. Is anything about the image standing out to you? Is there a certain part of the image that stands out to you? I'm curious of that. Let it hug you and embrace you without force. Yeah, we have a lot of energy that's wrapping around from this kind of cosmic feel. We may have this lotus flower here. I love working with that as a symbol of the intuition and of grace. Personally, I'm very drawn to this energy here coming out of the mouth. This could be how we put words to what we're feeling intuitively. This could represent what I'm getting from it for myself personally is the voice of the intuition, which is softer and gentler and quieter. It's not going to be a voice that booms like in the megaphone, it's like, rah, 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 Now, there will be times where in situations that kind of trigger that fight or flight, that more instinctual primal response, yes. But the intuition, when you're dealing with energies and when you're not in those critical moments, right? What does that voice, what is the texture, the context, the light frequency of that intuitive voice for you? Yes, it's bathing her in connection and communication with herself, with her emotions, with her spirituality, with her mind, opening up the mind as well. Opening up the places in the mind that are normally, Faith, wasn't you that mentioning, there may be the dormant places within your mind, body, soul that would be illuminated. Girl Gone says emotions and feelings and evolving and growing. Yes, because it would be really cool. Like, I think it would be really cool to put this image into like one of those AI and say add motion to it and have it like see how it would move. That would be very cool. I've seen people do that with the tarot cards where they add like the motion to it and you see the characters actually go through the motions. Purple, yes, connected to the thinking, the conscious mind, the crown. It's a very lavender purpley energy going on there. Absolutely. Okay, so softly, softly, tender touch, the voice of the intuition. Let's pull another oracle card and we'll kind of see how these all connect. This is called the Shaman's Dream Oracle, the Shaman's Dream. Yes. Crying and releasing is absolutely a beautiful process. It's meaningful, definitely okay. A lot of people tend to hold back when they need to cry or emotional energies. Whew. And here we go. Now, some of the things, Ashley, if you're still on, what you mentioned earlier, I think this card is kind of carrying us to that fine line between our nervous system, the anxiety or depression for some of us, right? Those energies and the voice of the intuition, and just how like this card I think is validating us in the sense of, wow, this is tricky. This can be tricky, right? And the fact that we're here and we're exploring these energies and we're talking about it and we're sharing our experiences, this means a lot. It's a number 17 card. And I mentioned the numbers in case you want to jot them down and work with them later, or you've been seeing them. Eye of the Needle, intentionality. Look at this. Now, wow. Just take a moment. What does this image, when you really are sitting with inside yourself, your intuition, what does this image evoke for you? The eye of the needle. Intentionality. Could this represent our intentional connection to our intuition, our intentionality of just participating today on Frequency Friday? Threading the needle, the eye of the needle. Tell me about the times you've threaded a needle. Have you ever had trouble threading the needle? And my grandma always taught me, you kind of lick the end of the thread and try to like get it, because it'll have the little frayed ends and you're trying to like jam it in there. Right? Again, that forceful energy. The needle in the haystack. Yes, the magic that you find within yourself. Your portal. And it honestly looks like we've got an eye. Maybe this could represent what I talked about at the very beginning, which was the inner eye, because the word intuition comes from the Latin verb intueri, I-N-T-U-E-R-I, which means to look at or to gaze at with the inner eye, to look within and to contemplate. This is the inner eye. And how are we connecting with it? The third eye, yes, the inner eye. And Girl Gone, you say the weaver. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, we have a predominant bigger needle here, and then these smaller ones here as well. The weaver. Weaving, what a powerful analogy to that. Faith, you're getting slow down and have patience, and answers within will be clear with steady patience and perseverance, that intentionality. Yes. That's beautiful. And we're coming into astrologically, Sagittarius season, we're moving from Scorpio to Sagittarius, where that fire begins to burn, and I'm getting that illumination through like kind of like a fiery energy here in the colors. And Sagittarius is also about temperance. It is about patience. It's about keeping your sights set on your goals, what you would like to achieve, your milestones, while existing in life and having a human experience. So it takes patience. Yeah, it definitely does look like a portal. Ooh. And look how we've been offered very different images here with the colors and the patterning. I am seeing the spheres stand out in both, kind of the orbs, the spheres, so that may be important for someone. Hi, Mavita, how are you? Welcome to Frequency Friday. Today I'm not doing personal mini readings, but I do those every other Sunday night. With the holidays, the next one is on December 14th from 7 to 8 p.m. Central. And we have a great community, so make sure you're subscribed. That's a subscribers event. But if you'd like to stay tuned here to Frequency Friday, I think you'll find that you might receive some of the messages you're looking for. All right, Empath's Oracle. So this one is one of the most abstract oracle decks I own. The Empath's Oracle. And, you know, this is another tool. So those of you who do like working with imagery and cards, to really select for yourself an oracle deck that does have more abstract imagery can be a great way to practice how your intuition informs you. So let's see, what does the Empath's Oracle have to inform us about intuition? We got number 16. Releasing emotional weight. And I will say it is raining here today, and that is really resonating with me. And I think several of you already brought it up. Girl Gone talking about letting it be okay to cry and release. Letting that be okay. To release the emotional weight. Absolutely. And we definitely have some color patterns in this card. We definitely have a human image of feminine. We've got some feminine feeling cards. Maybe even a masculine feeling card here, if I were to put it to that. Releasing of emotions. What's interesting too is what I'm seeing is, are you all seeing this here where it's almost like water hit the canvas and then dropped down? And it's kind of coming from the mind, right? Releasing emotions specifically that may be tied into beliefs, mental patterns, mental imbalances. Because there's a connection between the physical, the emotional realm, the mental realms. It's all connected. I'm really getting to, has anyone, and I'm interested to hear what else you pick up on this card for you. Girl Gone's got the feminine and the dragon energy. Yes, this looks like kind of like a dragon eye. Especially as the needle point kind of pulls it in. You know how their pupils of the dragon is like that? But this here, and I kind of lost my train of thought, but it'll flow back around. Getting a galaxy, feminine. Yeah, look, what's this? Something's going on there. I'm really getting a sense of like releasing how we define ourselves. Like maybe we're sensing the emotional weight of how we've defined ourselves before. Maybe we're letting things go there. Because maybe it was somebody else's idea about how we should be or feel and not our own natural idea. releasing emotional weight. And, you know, if any of you have ever struggled with your physical weight, a lot of sensitive people put on weight to protect themselves physically. Like it just happens because the emotional weight, especially if they're dealing with someone toxic, can be so heavy that they have to somehow shield themselves. And that can be a physical manifestation. I'm really getting a connection with the mind, the emotions, and the physical. So the mental, emotional, physical coming together here. Water, ocean vibes here. Yep, the vastness of emotions, deep emotions. Some of the blues are rather light, like, you know, you can almost see the light coming through the water. Other colors in here are deep and dark, representing a depth. And if I look at this, I even see maybe a little pearl of wisdom there, a little blue aquamarine pearl. And that after some of that emotional weight is released, which also may mean a release in the physical body. I've seen that happen with myself and others. You'll be with someone or in a toxic situation, relationship, and you put on weight, you get out of that relationship, and your body just is like, oh, I no longer need to protect myself anymore. I'm gonna let this go, and you can let it go. So that connection to the emotional processing. And maybe this is informing us of some of the things that we're meant to clear. We're meant to clear so we can have that deeper connection with our intuition. I feel this is a beautiful, beautiful sign. And working with those watery energies is it's a really good time for that. Now through December 5th, we have the Water Grand Trine. Beautiful time to work with this. You know, maybe you want, if you're able, take a bath, a shower, you know, intentional things going on, like go into the shower intentionally with like, as the water passes over me, I am releasing, or a nice salt bath, some nice scents, some nice oils, and really, you know, having that pull it out of you. And I know what I was going to say earlier. Have any of you ever had any craniosacral body work done? That's coming up. Maybe for some of you that might be helpful. It's very gentle and it very much assists the nervous system, that craniosacral. So if you can find a craniosacral therapist that you like and that you would trust and like to work with, that may be something for some of you. All right. I couldn't end today's oracle reading without going to the Beyond Lemuria oracle deck. Oh my goodness, y'all. I love this one. And these energies, let me know in the comments, who has a connection to Lemuria? So this is going to be your ancient Pacific Ocean, current day Hawaii kind of energies. I know we've been hearing from Ashley. She's manifesting going to Hawaii, right? And she's in the process of that. She's patiently letting that unfold. Who else might have this connection? Because I feel like with this Water Grand Trine, that's another beautiful energy to connect to. Some of you may have had lifetimes or are connected to lifetimes in Lemuria. All right, so we're going to get a card here. Ooh, now there's a lot going on here. I'm going to hold it up for a minute. So let me know about Lemuria if you feel like you have a connection. Have any of you worked with the Lemurian quartz crystal? Let me know. Let's look at this. We got 13, number 13, air. The air element comes in. So we kind of had the fire, the water energy come in, and now the air. And it says paradigm shift. So have a look at this. Wow, powerful imagery, lots of colors. Tressa loves the craniosacral. Yes, really helps the nervous system. Yes, tapping. I've really been getting into Tai Chi lately as well as a way to to move energies in my body. Girl Gone was just watching a video about Lemurian and Atlantean activation. Yes. Now, both ancient cultures are no more. And there were definitely some missteps in each culture, even though they were both advanced. So some of us carry those soul codes. We carry that energy with us and the learning and the lessons. But there were also a lot of beautiful things happening in Lemuria. Very, very, very much an advanced society that was connected, that did not disconnect from the natural world, from the natural nature world. We've got a lot going on in this card. We have an aqua colored character here. Kind of reminds me of like a sprite or a fairy kind of vibe, kind of like a young. It's like kind of like the air fairy or the air version. If you've ever seen Game of Thrones, they have the Children of the Forest, which I would have loved to see more of them in the show itself. In the book, they talk about them a bit more. That's kind of what I'm getting. It's kind of like that, like the air element embodied, but in a very youthful, innocent way. We've got a lot going on. Look at all the eyes in this card. All the different angles that they come in at. The eyes are actually different colors. There's blue eyes, there's brown eyes. We've got these powerful wings representing like a flutter, a momentum, the butterfly effect even. What else do you get? She's sitting on this pillar. Blue, purple, and galaxy colors. I call her V. Oh, your Arcturian guide. Ah, yes, you asked about her in the Q&A. Very cool. She's holding something. I'm trying to see what she's holding. Something in her hand. I can't quite see what it is. Kind of might be like a little cherry fruit that she picked off the tree. Like a little branch with a cherry on it. Because we do have some red colors in here too. She's also holding out a crystal, perhaps a Lemurian crystal in her hand as an offering. I say her, I do get a feminine energy again here, and it kind of reminds me of like the Avatar characters, how they're blue. The flower of life. 3 stars and the flower of life, yes. Now, sacred geometry is a whole other topic I haven't gone into very much, but sacred geometry, some of the geometry has it has its natural essence, and then it has it's inverted, like some of the things from like the New Age, like kind of took the sacred geometry and brought it into inversions and like cages. So that's a whole other dynamic to work through, which we'll go into in another topic. Yeah, wonderful cards. Okay, we're going to set those aside. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes, I guess you could say, of today's topic, which is how to read the cards intuitively and why you should. And we're going to go into 3 major arcana cards because there are more cards that speak to intuition, especially in the suit of cups, which is the water energy. We see a lot there. But in every suit, you can find cards that relate to intuition. And by no means am I saying these are the only 3 cards that are connected to intuition. All right. There can be, and there may be, because we're going to do a few clarifiers for each. There may be a few other cards that connect or even offer, there's archetypes and energies that offer opposition to intuition, which you know, in our culture, in our world, and the human experience, we see as like intuitive and then analytic, right? We kind of see that as opposites, but how can they complement one another? And so in the breakout readings today, we're going to lead into each breakout reading with a major arcana card. And I'm going to do my best not to go full-fledged into this is what this card means, because I want us to actually experience utilizing our intuition, and possibly that these archetypal characters that we see in the major arcana are evolving for us, for humanity. So the meanings that once were when these cards were birthed back in the 1400s, 1500s, right? Or even prior to that, there's some connections to Chinese and Eastern medicines and archetypal history. That has evolved. We are now in a different century altogether. We're now in different times. And so we are having consciousness evolution experiences here. And each of these major arcana cards, like, I think two of them are a little more obvious than the third one that I'm getting into, but they each, to me, really spoke up and wanted to be represented here and participate in this alchemical conversation and to have you all give input. Oh, my nose is running. So the energies are, when my nose starts itching and running, like the energies are starting to move here. Steph Squires. Hello, Steph Squires. I'm a Stephanie. Hi, beautiful superior white goddess. I respect you, beautiful queen. Oh, thank you. I don't know about superior, but I respect you as well, Steph Squires. Thank you for the lovely compliment. Grogan says, she looks like V to me. She's popped up in other things this week and all keep saying she wants to offer me something and help guide me. So you actually found a guide, one of your guides. You are connected to this imagery, and absolutely. See, Girlgone has just now mentioned something that I think is important. When you're tuning in, even online, your greater being brought you here. Something about something inside of you said, press that video. Now, some of you have been here and you come every week and we hang out and it's great times. But for those of you that are new, something inside of you said, click on that. And so therefore, there are likely messages in this for you. Okay. So that's what's beautiful is you will see things in your own life. Maybe you've already seen them. Maybe you're seeing them today, or maybe you'll see them in the upcoming days and weeks. And once you start seeing those consistencies and you're making those connections, those are your personal messages. It's kind of like putting a little puzzle together sometimes, the puzzle of you. How fun is that, right? And you're constantly evolving. So you're constantly putting new pieces together, becoming more dimensional, right? You know, those 3D puzzles that are like, you put them together and they're not just flat, right? That could be a good practice for some of you too. Possibly doing some puzzles when it, gets cold and you can't go outside or something like that. Maybe do a few puzzles. All right. So before I kind of show you these three cards, the High Priestess, the Moon, and the Hermit, do any of you connect with one of those? So when I say the High Priestess, the Moon, or the Hermit, is any which one standing out? Are you vibing with even just the sound, the way I say the High Priestess, the Moon, the Hermit? Is there one that kind of like stands out to you? And this is just for your own intuition. This is just for your own practice, okay? All right, so let me put up a little poll. We'll start a poll. And let me see if the poll works. I tried a Q&A earlier. And I'll just put which one, question mark, are you vibing with? Is it the High Priestess, the Moon, or the Hermit? These are the cards we're going into today. Okay, I'm going to start a little poll. Hopefully it'll show up. Oh, I think it's popping up. And just go ahead, naturally, click on the one that you're really vibing with the most right now. Which one stands out to you? Give it a vote. Give it a vote there. Give it a vote. Which one? The High Priestess, the Moon, or the Hermit? And let me know. Girl Gone is connecting with the High Priestess. We have a vote for the Moon, I can see. Let me see. Sometimes it doesn't like refresh this. Come on, keep voting. Keep showing me those votes. Yeah, let me know. We're going to go deeper into each card, and we're going to see how the vibe, okay? Intuition likes energy vibes. So I really want you to get into kind of your vibe with the card and what does it feel like to you? Okay, what does the card feel like? And just like we did in the oracle cards, really looking into what stands out. Or are there small specific details that you notice that you never noticed before? So let's start off with our High Priestess. And I would say the reason I chose the High Priestess, and let me know if you could see this okay here. I chose the High Priestess because to me, the High Priestess represents embodied intuition and guardianship. Tressa's the Moon. I was kind of feeling the Moon too, Tressa. I was kind of feeling that too. So what, as you look at the High Priestess, so despite whichever card you were vibing with in the poll, what do you see in this card in particular? What is standing out? And I'm trying to hold it in the screen here. I'm finding that the screen as I see it on my camera is just slightly different. So I'm trying to get the whole image in here for you. What stands out? Is there a color? Is there a pattern? Is there a shape that stands out? Use your intuition. That's the whole goal of today in our Frequency Friday, is to use your intuition and notice what really is calling to your intuition, what really stands out. I don't know about you, but I'll just share. I'm really struck by the Moon here, and maybe that's because I was kind of feeling those moon energies like Tressa. The Moon, perhaps. So we can already see a connection to the two cards. How do you read the tarot intuitively? You view, remember, intuition is about to look at or to gaze at with the inner eye. Some of you may even want to look at this card and then close your eyes and see what comes to you, what stands out to you, what vibe you feel. Maybe an emotion comes up for you. So when you're reading for yourself, and I recommend practicing with yourself before, practice with others, you have the luxury of spending time with an individual card. AM says the Torah. The Torah is standing out. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Right here. The world is on her head, which is typical for most women and mothers, right? And, you know, that could be representing a burden or a sacrifice even that she's agreed to carry. And I love how you're trusting your intuition here. When you really, really feel into that intuition, you're going to get the information that is not necessarily the historical and symbolic original meanings. But that's what we're here for. We're here to evolve. That's why we read intuitively. I'll say with Tressa what you had mentioned here. And we can talk about the Torah too, a book of knowledge, a book of wisdom. But the world on her head, typical for most women and mothers. This High Priestess is the number 2. And the number 3 card is the Empress, often connected to mother energy. So she carries the burden, the weight, the sacrifice that is about to be entered into when you agree, you're in agreement to create a life, to become a mother. Or even the number 4 card, the Emperor, a father, right? The mother and father cards come after. Whoops, sorry. My coaster got stuck there and dropped down on the table. All right, so I'm going to end the poll because it's like in my face. Can you end? There we go. Okay. It looks like the Moon got a lot of votes. The poor Hermit didn't get any votes. Maybe the Hermit will by the end, though. Anything else anyone is picking up in this card? Let me go down here. Girl Gone says light and dark. Light and dark. Earth and moon, water. Doesn't this look like a little waterfall here? And balance. Beautiful. Yep, the balance between the two. All right, so you all, feminine and masculine, you all have come up with some very interesting things that have stood out. And as I look at that and I say, okay, you know, we're seeing some of the things that are mentioned, but we're also beginning to peer into the difference, because Teresa sees this as the world because of her relationship to being a mother. Traditionally, that's seen as the moon, but I love that your intuition spoke to you differently. There's another card in the Major Arcana that is clearly about balance. It's called the Justice card, but Girl Gone got balance in this card as well. So see how we begin? Our intuition begins to pull out, and maybe your intuition is telling you, okay, you picked up these energies. The High Priestess, she is a guardian. She is intuition embodied. She is informing you of maybe the other archetypes you need to work with as well. And if we didn't take a moment to just be silent with her, to just look and feel into it and allow it to come from our intuition, instead of going to the booklet and going to the history and saying, what does this